Thanks for dropping in on our Wednesday edition of TNT. I'm actually doing it slightly earlier this morning, not for you, but for me, because I have to rush off to an opening or a blessing or a baptism, something happening important this morning that I need to attend. So we'll get started on today's program where we're going to be looking at an electronic version of extending visas. Sure, that's going to work well. We've also got some more, I suppose you could call fallout from the decision to, a U-turn, a reversal of the idea of selling land to foreigners. Also some flooding in Malaysia causing big problems as they get ready during an election campaign. It's the TNT program on a Wednesday, hump day. Hope you're having a great day, whatever you're doing. If you're sitting down with a coffee, let's check out what's happening around the Thai news services. And we start with the Bangkok Post. Expats get online visa extensions. So each year, all expats have to front up to immigration to extend their visas, unless you've got one of these new long-term resident visas or an elite visa. You need to do these extensions. So let's go to the story. Immigration Bureau has unveiled its electric extension of temporary stay service yesterday, making it easier for expats to apply for visas online. The National Police Chief says they'll be able to lodge the extension request online, saying it will reduce the time to process the application from an hour to 3 minutes. Well, when you add all the waiting time and time to get to immigration, sometimes it's a lot longer than an hour. The services have, I think, in many ways generally improved over the past few years, but in other cases the queues are still quite long. According to the Immigration Bureau, over 200,000 expats seek to extend their visas each year. So you've got taking holidays, teaching jobs, studying, working at a state agency, or due to family ties, or just getting a business visa. Growing number of applicants spurred concern about the time-consuming and inconvenient nature of the process. I'm sure the immigration people would also like the idea of just having to relate to a form rather than a person who they may have trouble understanding. The other thing, of course, is they've got visa agents who pay for the right to be able to represent the immigration department and provide services for expats. In many cases, of course, they charge for those services, but the Immigration Bureau loves it because the forms come in completed, everything's sorted out, there's nothing to argue about with the applicant. So both the e-visa, if this happens, and of course the visa agents do make things a lot easier for the immigration staff. The e-extension service will be piloted first for expats living or working in Bangkok, but they must show up in person to verify their identity and get a visa sticker at the immigration office in Changwatana Road. And let me tell you, that's a difficult place to get to. I used to spend a lot of time, or living basically, around the Asok area, and it took about an hour to get there, even when the traffic was fairly good. It's not that far from the Don Mueang airport, but the traffic around there and the parking and everything is not particularly easy. It's up near the Impact Arena, which is just as difficult to find. The Immigration Bureau plans to make the service available at all immigration offices nationwide in the future. When will that future be? Well, let's see how it rolls out in Bangkok. It will be very interesting to see if the e-version, the online version, is more efficient, because some of their e-services, like the 90-day reports and stuff, have not worked that well in the past. You know what I mean. To our next story in Thai PBS World, saying the Cabinet endorses the withdrawal of the controversial foreign land ownership edict. So that's now official. The Cabinet said, I think we're going to walk away from that for the time being. Here's the problem in my eyes. I think that's what it's all been about. It's all been seen as a bit of a cash grab, well, certainly by the expats, but by the Thais it's been seen in a different way. The Thai Cabinet approved the Interior Ministry's withdrawal of the edict on foreign land ownership following widespread opposition to the plan. Yeah, that opposition has come from a lot of sectors around the Thai community. It's been a hot topic even in Thai media over the last week. The target groups were wealthy global citizens, wealthy pensioners, those who want to work from Thailand, and highly skilled professionals, which are the main categories for the long-term resident visa. And that was, for the foreigners anyway, one of the hitches that you had to get a long-term resident visa. You couldn't sort of live in Mozambique and invest in Thai property whilst still staying in Mozambique. It really was designed for people who were going to move and live in Thailand. The plan has, however, this is down the bottom, encountered widespread opposition, with some nationalist groups, sounds like the Nazis, having accused the government of selling off the country to foreigners. Yeah, we know that there was at least one YouTuber who was campaigning quite heavily against the government, saying they were sort of selling the farm and saying that they were selling Thailand. Forgetting, of course, that many countries around the world do sell land to foreigners, and a lot of your reaction has said, well, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. In other words, if the Thais won't sell foreign land, well, we won't sell land to Thai people in our country. Well, that was a lot of the spirit of what many of you were saying. The response from the Bangkok Post and business leaders back a U-turn on land sales. Key business leaders are saying that it would have had no significant impact on the Thai property market. The Interior Minister saying it was a sensitive issue and was not sure it would return. Well, let's put this into perspective. This is currently a hot political potato. It's become one over the past week, as it's been so widely discussed in social media in Thailand, and quite negatively. So the Palang Praturate party would be saying this is a hot political potato. There's a lot of negativity and we could lose votes if we continue to flog this. So it's got nothing to do whether it's good for foreigners or not, good for Thailand or not. Is it good for getting votes or not? That's really what it comes down to. Because whether you like it or not, we are in an unofficial election campaign at the moment. The election probably going to be called in the middle of March next year and will be held at the start of May. So yeah, I think it won't return, at least until the next parliament sits sometime next year. And down the bottom there, the idea to purchase up to one rai of land for residential purposes in return for investment was unclear in several respects. And then at the top of that page, it goes through a whole lot of things that they might change in the process. Basically, it was going to make the time that you'd have to leave your investment longer and the amount that you'd have to stump up in the first place greater. The third paragraph there, they're also concerned about future land speculation and its possibility of opening doors to foreigners, especially Chinese businessmen who run grey businesses in Thailand, such as bars, massage parlours and gambling dens, to buy vast land plots. So a whole lot of different aspects of concern there to the Thais, including that last one, the xenophobia one. To the nation, and not yet, says Prayut, in answer to leave the Palang Praturate party. The Prime Minister, Prayut Chan-o-cha, would not deny or confirm speculation that he's leaving the ruling Palang Praturate party to join the Ruam Thai Sangchat party. Well, okay, just to clarify that, the Prime Minister is not a member of the Palang Praturate party. He was their nomination as the preferred prime ministerial candidate, but he's never joined that party. In fact, he's never stood for election as an MP. He's never been voted for by the people. So we should just clarify that situation. And down the bottom there, Prayut was approached for comments following speculation that the two generals, that's Prayut Wongsawan and Prayut, had discussed a strategy to try and retain power after the next election by getting Prayut to lead another party and increasing the chance of winning more House seats. So Prayut Wongsawan would sort of represent the Palang Praturate and Prayut this other party, and then they'd be spreading the love, I suppose, if people wanted to vote for the conservative forces. Although Prayut is not officially a Palang Praturate member, he was the party's only prime ministerial candidate for the 2019 general election. Yes, he was. Also in the nation, 62,000 plus suspects arrested as Bangkok prepares for the APEC summit. And I've drawn an arrow over this man. Watch this man. His name is Surachat Hakpan, also known as Big Joke by the Thai media. And his rise and fall, very public fall, and his rise again now to the position of Deputy Police Commissioner has been dramatic indeed. He will one day be the head of the Thai police. To this story, police have arrested more than 62,000 suspects facing weapons, drugs and other criminal charges in a month-long crackdown ahead of the APEC summit. This is all, of course, a strong show of the police and security forces. It's meant to give confidence to the people who are visiting, the high-profile people and some of the leaders of various countries visiting APEC this month. The raids were conducted from October the 10th to November the 9th. This is what they were. 10,450 people arrested over guns, explosives and ammunition. Yikes. 43,000 arrested on drug-related cases and 9,255 arrested in response for criminal cases. Well, my question is, why weren't these people all rounded up before? Why did they leave it to the last month before APEC and make some sort of big media spectacle out of it? They should have been arrested long before and thrown in jail or taken to court. With thanks to 5 Star Marine, our sponsors, thank you very much for your ongoing support. And if you'd like to just click that subscribe button underneath, we'd really appreciate that. Remembering this Saturday, we'll also be doing our live program. We do that at around about 9 a.m. every Saturday morning Thai time. And you can come and argue with me, throw some comments in, and anybody can be involved. You don't have to be a member, you don't have to donate money or anything. You can just come along and be part of the conversation, but you must bring one of these. You must have something to drink because we sit down for an hour and have a good old gas bag. This is TNT. TNT on a Wednesday. Thank you for joining us on the program. And to football, the World Cup's on the way. Plenty of questions been asked over the past few years whether Qatar should even be holding the World Cup and whether it's a suitable venue. But all that aside, the footballs are about to be kicked off. And the question from the Bangkok Post, footy spend riles scholars. Looks like some money is going to be paid by the NBTC, the broadcasting commissioners, to buy the rights because none of the telecoms, none of the big communications companies, the broadcasters, have been able to find the money. It's quite a considerable sum of money. Media academics have voiced strong opposition to the NBTC spending 1.6 billion baht. I should say that in a Dr. Evil sort of voice, on the rights to broadcast live World Cup 2022 matches free of charge. 1.6 billion baht, that's about half the budget to build the Patong Tunnel, by the way. You could build quite a big freeway for that amount of money. Is it money well spent? The NBTC is expected to decide on the proposal next Wednesday to set aside the budget from its Research and Development Fund. Really? In a 6-point statement released on Tuesday, academics from Chulalongkorn University's Faculty of Communication Arts and Thammasat University's Faculty of Journalism and Mass Communication objected to the spending on the basis it was contrary to the fund's proposed aim. So up the top there, we've got a whole lot of things that they've been spending that fund on in the past, which is basically to be participating in various sporting activities around the region. And the second paragraph, according to the academics, the funding for these events was an appropriate use of the fund, particularly as Thailand had athletes participating in them. But the upcoming World Cup tournament caters only to football enthusiasts, while the Thai national team failed to qualify. As a result, the spending does not meet the required criteria. So I'm not sure if that Wednesday refers to today or next Wednesday, but if it is next Wednesday, it's going to be a busy time online next week and the government ministry is told to keep an eye on any negative commentary about the body spending that much money to get to secure the rights to broadcast the World Cup for free in Thailand. To the next story, and don't hate me for this, I just think this is an interesting observation. We go to worldometers.info, and this has tracked the coronavirus over the last, nearly 3 years, and it publishes daily numbers. I thought these numbers were interesting. This is ranking the total amount of new cases announced yesterday, and the way this list has changed over the past 2 or 3 years from time to time during the various waves has been quite interesting. And the statistics don't generally lie. Whether the numbers might be a bit up or down, the trends are what is important to note here. And here we've got Japan, South Korea, Taiwan and Hong Kong all in the top 10 of countries which are still presenting high numbers of new cases of COVID-19. Of various variants, I should note as well. And these are all in what we call the Northern Asian area. So this is quite interesting. And if you ever wanted another reason why China probably won't invade Taiwan at the moment, given that they've got this zero COVID policy and they're very risk averse about exposing their country to COVID-19, they're in fourth place as a reason it probably won't happen soon. By the way, that is a joke. Also noting that we've got Australia there in number 14 place, and the New South Wales Health Minister, I noted yesterday, was making a fresh warning for elderly and sick people to be vaccinated and for people to still be aware that COVID-19 is still around. So I thought that graph might be of interest to people today, the way that the countries we're seeing ranking up near the top have not been there much in the past, but those Northern Asian countries are showing the worst effects of COVID-19 at the moment with fresh new cases. And to Malaysia, this from the Straits Times, and Malaysia issues flash flood warnings for those states listed. The northeast monsoon hit Malaysia earlier than expected this year, and they're warning of continuous rain in those states. Also noting that Malaysians are set to go to the polls, and a lot of people critical of the Malaysian government calling an election at this time of the year, citing the monsoon as a reason why it's not a good time to hold elections. But they are going to the polls on November the 19th in Malaysia, and they might have to take an umbrella with them. And with that, I hope you don't need an umbrella today, unless you're out in the sunshine and you want to protect your skin. Very wary about that, of course, these days. Hope you have a fantastic Wednesday. We look forward to seeing you next time. Big thanks to 5 Star Marine, and we'll see you tomorrow.